everyone, my name is Jenné Rabbit of Ask Jenné today, where all your event-related questions get answered. Today we're going to talk about top 10 tips to help you in planning your wedding program. Tip number 10, know your guests. Every wedding is different because the set of people who attend it are different. So you need to find out who are these people who will be attending. Is it family? Is it friends? Is it a good mix of both? Or is it more family or is it more friends? Because even if you have a good program idea, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna fly with the crowd that you're gonna have. So once you determine who your guests are, then you can also determine if the kind of program that you have in mind will actually go well with the people. So I know it's easy to say, well, it's our party or it's our wedding, so bahala sila if they don't like it. So yes, it can be very tempting to just say that and just have that perspective. But remember, at the end of the whole program, it's also not just about yourself, it's also about the people who are there. So it's a good mix of you guys enjoying and also your guests enjoying. So it's important that you need to find out who your guests are. Tip number 9, invest in heavy cocktails. Yes, if you're Filipino, you know what I'm talking about. Food is most important to all of us Filipinos, and normally in most weddings, their complaint is that it's taking a whole lot of time before the program starts and they're already hungry. So now maybe you're wondering, why are they hungry? Or isn't there food at the program? Well, I'll give you 2 steps backward to show you that before the actual program starts, there is what we call the in-between photo shoot. So the in-between photo shoot happens right after the bride and groom comes out of the church and just before they enter the reception. So during this period, they go around the venue or maybe they go to another place and have beautiful pictures of just the 2 of them. So that's where our guests start to, feel antsy, like why is it taking so long? So the answer is invest in heavy cocktails. And when I say cocktails, I don't only mean drinks, but I also mean food. So if you want less complaints or 0 complaints, just take care of their tummy by preparing good, delicious, heavy cocktails. Tip number 8, connect your overall concept with all of your suppliers. What does this mean? It means that if, for example, you have a photo booth, you have a mobile bar, you have, of course, your photo and video supplier. All of these people bring something to the table and it all contributes to the overall program. So you need to know what is the best time for them to start having photos, what is the best time for them to open the mobile bar. So when you put them all together, like you connect everything together, then it becomes an awesome symphony, which means that everything is well coordinated. So you won't end up having your MC saying, you can have pictures taken at the photo booth and your photo booth is not open, right? Or maybe you say, all right guys, let's enjoy the drinks. And actually the mobile bar won't open until say 2 hours after. So it's very important that you connect your overall concept to all of your suppliers. Maybe your suppliers even have something to share or something to contribute on how to achieve the concept that you have for your wedding. So once again, connect your overall concept to all of your suppliers. Tip number 7, prepare for your first dance. I know, you'll be saying, I have 2 left feet, I don't like to dance and all, but you know what? The first dance is like the main event in the reception. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you take time, invest time in learning a dance with your spouse because it's really gonna be worth it. Because the first dance actually shows how you guys are together as a couple. And of course, you guys are totally in love and totally excited to spend a lifetime together, and that is the best expression that you can have at the reception. So please do prepare for your first dance. So it doesn't necessarily mean you will hire a choreographer, although yes, you can do that. I have other clients who've done watching YouTube videos and learn from the videos, and they actually produced a performance that's really good. So just takes a little bit of time and effort. So yes, that's tip number 7, prepare for your first dance. Tip number 6, spend time in picking or choosing your music. Yes, it's very important. Why? Because when you spend time in picking that music, you're able to create in your mind the kind of wedding that you really want to do. My mother always tells me this: picturize, visualize, actualize. I believe that music helps you do that. So like when you play different kinds of music and you close your eyes and you listen to it, in a way it's playing in your head what is going to happen on your actual wedding reception. So when you do that, when you look listen to all these different kinds of music, then you can make a decision on how the whole program will flow. So take time, no rush. Just listen to it, don't just say no to a particular music. Just listen to it first. And if you feel it and you feel like, yes, this is the perfect song for my first dance, or yes, this is the perfect song for my grand entrance, then you go for it. So this, of course, is very helpful if you have time, meaning time like a few more months before your wedding day, and not like 3 days before your wedding and you're picking out music, because you're gonna feel a little bit rushed. So yes, spend time in picking out or choosing your music. That's tip number 6. Tip number 5, hire a professional sound system supplier. Oh yes, we will be so very happy when you do that. Why? Because having a professional sound system ensures that you're gonna have the right equipment for your venue. So you're gonna have music sound quality that's really good, and then it will also have a microphone that actually works, because you'll be surprised some venues have there's basic PA system, but when it comes to the actual program, the sound isn't really good and the microphones have challenges. So I would highly recommend that you do that. Hire a professional sound system supplier. And if you have a little bit more of budget, you can even add by hiring a spinner. What does a spinner do? A spinner is basically like a DJ, but he's more concerned on the program, like what happens one after the other, and making sure that the music that you want actually flows or comes out. And then when the music needs to be higher or when the music needs to be lower, the spinner does all that. So even the genre of music that you want to be played during the cocktail hour or during the party music, the spinner will do all of that. So hire a professional sound system supplier, and even maybe you can add a spinner. That's tip number 5. Tip number 4, hire a good event coordinator or MC assistant. I actually have another video that talks about why you should hire an event planner, but in this particular video, I want to focus on hiring a good MC assistant. What does an MC assistant do? Or I also call it MC runner. Basically, the MC assistant will make sure that the different parts of the program are actually going to flow accordingly. So for example, you're about to introduce the bride and groom. But before you introduce the bride and groom, of course, the bride and groom needs to be there waiting. Because if you start announcing something and then that particular person who's part of the program is not there, then there's going to be dead air and then people are going to wonder what's happening. So having an MC assistant ensures that the different parts of the program is actually going to flow accordingly. So yes, so very, very good for you to hire an MC assistant or event coordinator. And if you don't have one, or if you're not hiring one, you can assign somebody who is part of probably your entourage or a close family or a friend who can help ensure that the program will flow accordingly. That's tip number 4. Hire a good event coordinator or MC assistant. And we're down to our top 3 tips in preparing for your wedding program. Tip number 3 is hire a professional host. What happens when you hire a professional host? Basically, the professional host is your assurance that you have a good program. And it's also your assurance that whatever happens, whatever mishaps that may happen here or there, the professional host will be able to handle it. As opposed to getting your family member or maybe your cousin to be your host while they know you really well, they're very close to you, they don't necessarily know the overall flow or the timing that happens during a wedding program, or maybe there might have some challenges and maybe they won't know how to recover from it or how to cover it up in a good way, where people won't even notice that there's some kind of challenge happening. So when you hire a professional host, you have that peace of mind that everything will be taken care of, because there is no perfect wedding, but the one who holds the microphone is actually the one who will make it look all so perfect. So that's tip number 3, hire a professional host. Tip number 2. This one for me is so valuable before you even start doing anything in planning your program. Not a lot of people see this, but I usually ask couples, what are your top 3 things that you visualize for your wedding? So basically, I want you to decide on your overall concept of your wedding. It doesn't have to be something that just came up from the other wedding or your cousin's wedding or some celebrity's wedding. So you need to come up with your top 3 things, or I call it keywords. So for example, your keywords would be a lot of fun, great time with family, and a whole lot of food. So if, for example, those are your top 3 keywords or phrases, then you can start planning a program that revolves around those top 3 keywords or phrases. Because if you don't do that, you might end up just copying everyone else's wedding program. So when you're focused and you're clear on what your vision is, your vision or your objective for this whole wedding program, then you won't be distracted and you'll be more effective in coming up with ideas that is in line with what your top keywords or phrases are for your wedding. So yes, that's my tip number 2. Decide on your overall vision by coming up with your top 3 keywords or phrases for your wedding. We're down to our top 1 tip in preparing for your wedding program. Drum roll, please. Wait, that's not a drum, that's piano. Okay, so the number 1 tip I would give to all of you guys is remember that at the end of the day, it's all about your love story, and it's all about spending this lifetime with your spouse. So there may be some challenges along the way, and yes, it can happen. You just have to let go, don't be caught up in all of the details, like this is how the music should be, this is how the music or the lighting should be, all these little details that can create a really negative vibe or negative mood. Just let go of it, because at the end of the day, what's most important is you're marrying or you've married the love of your life. There you have it, guys. A wonderful video of our top 10 tips in preparing for your wedding program. Remember, your question just might help somebody else. So go ahead and write us a message on what your questions are event related, and we will promise to answer them in our future videos. This is Ask Jenné Today, where all your event related questions are answered.